The Bills kick off the 2022 NFL season against the defending champs tomorrow as they travel to LA to take on the Rams. In what seems an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object, there is little doubt that this heavyweight matchup will not disappoint. So stick around, join the conversation. This is the Friday Night Forecast.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming to rep the East. Buffalo bad with a vengeance. We resurrected the team, man, we dangerous. Watch for these horns, they lacerate and cut. We don't play no game while we play this game. No, I playing us. You know what it's about, you made me wanna shout. They said to take an L, we took another route. Deuces to the drought. Play through all the doubters, finger pointing and laughing. The ones that was talking that trash are the same ones circling wagons. We ain't having it. Dominate divisions ever since we put the L in it. Knocks the competition out the stadium like hammer fist. Stephon Diggs a grave and he pays respects to the cornerbacks that can't cover quickness, then he catches it. In 1995 to 2020, break the streak. Kept the faith in every season for the team, cause I believe. Taught me no matter how many times you're down, do not accept defeat. Feel like number 17. You got me feeling like I'm Josh Allen, yeah. What? You got me feeling like I'm Josh. Okay. You got me feeling like I'm Josh Allen, yeah. Josh. Yeah. Got me feeling like I'm who? Josh. Yeah. Josh Allen. Yeah. Succeed the most in the freezing cold. Break a couple tables in a parking lot with sleet and snow. Put the work in with Sean McDermott, a worthy coach. Y'all can get the hands like a Wilson ball when it's Beasley thrown. Got so many yards to the point we owning property. I remember haters talking foolish with that gossiping, but they don't want it with Buffalo. Cause when the winter storm hits, they'll be stuck with nowhere to go. Let's play Micah hide and seek. We'll find a week up on the field to hike and we'll unleash the likes of Trey White and Evans. All kinds of D. Back in the driver's seat, the Singletary. He's sprinting scary to carry the ball through the plane. Embarrass these adversaries, prepare to be victimized. We gave New England pats up on their back. Told New York to jet, they left the scene and packed their bags. Went fishing for some dolphins, left them beats up on the sand. AFC East champs. You got me feeling like I'm Josh Allen, yeah. What? You got me feeling like I'm Josh. Okay. You got me feeling like I'm Josh Allen, yeah. Josh. Got me feeling like I'm who? Josh. Yeah. Josh Allen.
Happy Wednesday, Bills Mafia. Welcome to a special kickoff edition to the Friday Night Forecast on the Cold Front Report. I am your host, Travis Blakesley. Thank you for tuning in tonight. As always, please go ahead and show us some love with a like and or share and subscribe so that you can stay up to date with all things Bills. Remember, you can listen to the show and any other show in podcast form by searching for the Cold Front Report on your favorite audio app. Tonight, I am joined by both my co-hosts. We got Cody, as usual, and it's the return of the Herm. How we doing, fellas?
Yeah, it's good to be back. It's time now. This is our time.
Yeah, can't wait. It's time to start the season. I'm jacked.
That's right.
Well, thank you for joining me and all you out there as well. Let's get into what happened while we were away. The Bills officially announced their depth chart. While most positions were to be expected, there were a few notable changes since last we saw. The starting right tackle is indeed Spencer Brown. Second string tight end belongs to Quentin Morris. And McKenzie is a primary kick returner. Kyrie Elam ahead of Christian Benford for CB2 opposite of Dane Jackson. In other news, Bills announced their 2022 captains, which goes as followed. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Mitch Morse, Tremaine Edmonds, Von Miller, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Tyler Metakevich, and Tywan Jones. And in the 11th hour prior to our recording, the Bills extended tight end Dawson Knox, making him one of the league's highest paid tight ends. Sources report Knox gets a 4-year extension worth $53.6 million and $31 million guarantee. Fellas, Herm, let's start with you. What are your thoughts discussing the week that was?
Well, I was a little surprised with the O.J. Howard move and Morris being the backup tight end, just because of the fact that we had the money invested in OJ Howard, and he caught a touchdown. I know he's never panned out. He didn't pan out what was expected of him when he was with the Buccaneers because of injuries. But I don't know. I liked him in college, and I always thought he had some talents. But I also read that the impact on our cap in terms of dollars, because he signed with the Texans, if I'm understanding. He was going to do Cincinnati, but the Texans have signed him. So whatever compensation he gets there, along with his bonus money, will reverse itself against whatever his cap number was with us. So to me, that was the probably the move that surprised me personally a month. But at the same time, Morris is a good talent, younger, and I think he'll work out fine.
Cody, any thoughts on whether or not, is the Knox signing or the depth chart, anything surprise you there?
No, not really. We went over the depth chart last week, so there's not too much discrepancy this week from last week. We had brought up CB2 and whether we would get a start from Elam or the 6th-round pick Benford. I think it's still up in the air. I watched the interview today with defensive coordinator Leslie Frazier, and he didn't commit to either player. So I think there will be a platoon there. But as you touched on, I think Elam will probably be the first one out. And we'll see how that goes. Other than that, Dawson Knox getting a big contract. Happy for him. I'm sure he's going through mixed emotions. He's had one hell of a month. And, you pray for his family. And, you pray for good things to come to a player like that who has shown nothing but growth and love for the Buffalo community. So my personal prayers go out to him, and congratulations on the big contract.
It's true. I second that.
Of course. I guess the only thing that really stood out to me outside of Quentin Morris getting the number 2 spot would be Spencer Brown. I mean, I'm not saying I wrote him off last week, but I did mention I would have been surprised if we didn't see him much of the season because Quessenberry would have held that down. But, I guess, the depth chart says it, but I don't believe anyone has come out and said Spencer Brown is your starting right tackle tomorrow. But, I mean, if we're going by the depth chart, that's what it says.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the injury report. Cody, what do you got for us for injuries regarding tomorrow's game?
Well, both teams are pretty healthy going into week 1, as you would expect. Starting with the Rams, Van Jefferson today, his game status has been changed to out. We know he got a knee scope back in August, so he's still dealing with the repercussions there, so he will not play tomorrow. Looking at the Bills, they have 6 guys on the injury report today. One being Stephon Diggs with a veteran rest day, so you throw him right off there. The 2 guys to watch, Quentin Morris and Tommy Doyle. Both of those guys did practice today, Tommy Doyle being a full and Quentin Morris being limited. The rest of the players, McKenzie, Hoyer, and Settle, are all full go. Totally expect them to play. It'll just be down to Morris and Doyle and whether or not they're activated tomorrow.
And who was questionable one practice limited, right? You said
so. Quentin Morris was limited today. Tommy Doyle did practice full. So
okay, all right,
yeah, which is a little bit of a surprise to me, but it's good. We're healthy going in. So
oh yeah, I mean, when we're talking about backup players, it's good to hear that we're going to be at full strength. Good news on Van Jefferson. It's one less guy for us to cover.
Yep.
So pretty much cut and dry as far as the injury report goes. We'll move on to a new segment today, and it's called If I Were a Betting Man. I'm going to give you a couple over-unders. Cody, we're going to start with you. I got 4 of them, so let's start with Dawson Knox Over under 36.5 receiving yards.
I'm going to go with the over there, coming off the fresh contract that he signed today, and just everything that he's going through, like we just spoke about. I think he's going to have a big day. Jalen Ramsey and some guys that are playing on the outside. I think it's going to leave some room for Dawson Knox to take advantage over the middle of the field. I like the over.
Herm, what do you say?
I'm definitely going with the over. I agree with Cody that they're definitely going to try and take away our Davis and Diggs on the outside. So that will open up some room for him in the middle. And I mean, it's not a lot of yards. So that over and under. I mean, I think two catches. He can
I was just going to say, we've seen him do it in one.
Exactly. Well, we have, and also the fact that I think their coverage will be obviously on our outside receivers and the slot receiver, and it'll give him a lot of. I think he'll get. He should have a good game, and as you guys both have pointed out, I think the tragedy that happened in his life recently. We all know it with his younger brother, but the Bills rewarding him with confidence with the big bonus today. That he's going to come out there and he's a warrior. I always felt he was a warrior anyway. So tomorrow night you get a chance to. If nothing else, once you get on that field, you at least for a couple of 2-3 hours, you get to take your mind off of the sadness, and you get to go out there. And I think he's going to play real hard, and I think Josh will look for him. So I'm over.
Yeah, he's Rambo, man. Of course he's a warrior. You're right. He's Josh's safety blanket in the red zone, and he's done really well against slow linebackers. And the Rams, I mean, Bobby Wagner, great player, but this is not Bobby Wagner of 2014, you know. So I'm definitely going over. I also think he'll have at least a touchdown, but, you know, that's not you want to parlay that, go right ahead, but 36.5 yards, absolutely sign me up. All right, we'll go number 2, Cody. Matthew Stafford, a half an interception. So is he, you know, we going 0 or is he throwing a pick?
He's throwing a pick. Matthew Stafford has a tendency to get that little bit of a gunslinger attitude, as does our Josh Allen. And last year he had 17 picks. So, you know, he's good for one a game if you break it down. And with our secondary, I'm fully expecting him to throw at least one. So the over.
Herm.
Oh, definitely over a half. As Cody said, he had 17 in the regular season and another, I think, 5 in the playoffs in total. So he's definitely we're going to pick him off, and at half an interception, that's the over and under.
That's the
right?
line, yeah.
So I mean, his average, as Cody just said, at 17 last season, won a game, and there were games where there were multiples, but I'm going with the over.
Yeah, so far it's easy money.
Yeah, really.
You got to go with the over with those statistics behind him, knowing how he plays and knowing the offense that Stafford runs, and then just knowing your own team. I mean, if anything, this preseason showed me that although we were the number 1 defense last year, I fully believe that this defense is going to be better. You got not much blocking for Stafford, and they're arguably their biggest time player in the playoffs last year is on our side going against them. So, you know, you add a little bit of pressure, and funny things happen. So for sure, going over with that one. Cody, pick 3. Allen Robinson. This one's a little better, a little more even keeled. Allen Robinson under 56.5 receiving yards.
Again, I'm sticking with the over. Allen Robinson is a number 1 receiver in the NFL. He's a guy that I've loved for years. I think he's been underrated, mainly because he's been on bad teams with bad quarterbacks. He isn't anymore. He's going to show his worth. It's a throwing offense. Matthew Stafford is going to get him the ball. Outside of Cooper Kupp, he's your number one option. 56.5 isn't that much. I can easily see him getting to 60 or 70 yards. So, again, I'm going to go with the over here.
What say you, Herm?
I'm going with the over. I agree with Cody. Last year he had 38 catches, but you had Justin Fields, and that offense stunk.
He
And
had
now
more
you
sacks
have
in one game than completions.
Oh, exactly. But you have a quarterback now that's a gunslinger and can throw the ball, and he is a high quality receiver, great size, and I think also our emphasis will be on Cooper Kupp, and so, but he's a number one receiver, and that was a great pickup for them, especially with Beckham being out and Woods going. So they were very fortunate to, put him. You're putting him right back in. He's the number one receiver, but you were with a team that just couldn't get you the ball. I mean, 38 catches is incredible for a guy of his talent.
Right, and like Herm said there, he's got great size. I think he's a 6'3", 220 pounds, something around there. So when you have two rookie cornerbacks going to go against you, he's going to be playing with great leverage, and it's going to be a big test for us to try to shut him down. 56.5 is not a big number. It's not a big number at all.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you guys, and Jason alludes to it as well. You got Dane Jackson covering Robinson. Say what you will about Dane Jackson, the improvements, he's still not the biggest guy in the world, and this is the NFL in 2022 where, like you said, 56, I mean, 56 and a half at halftime is probably to be expected. I mean, you got two high-powered offenses, 2 first-round draft pick quarterbacks. It's just, if you're going to parlay all these together, I think you have to go with the over. The only way I see, I mean, that's the thing is, I was thinking of ways that we wouldn't get there, and that would be, maybe the Bills are dominating, but you're going to get garbage yards.
Exactly.
Either way, and
Right.
I don't really see. I mean, obviously the running game, and we'll talk about it later. The running game is a big part of the Rams because they rely heavily on the play action. But that being said, I don't see this Rams team. I see them utilizing the run game, but I don't see them sticking with it to the point where you're not having your number one your quote unquote, your X wide receiver getting all those, half 100 yards. All right, Cody, last one. Josh Allen, a touchdown and a half passing.
Yeah, as you just said, I'd parlay the whole thing. We're going over again. 3. He's going to get at least 3, I'd say.
Herm?
Very easy.
Yeah,
I'm over. I'm going with the over. Yeah, he's. You're talking 2 touchdowns in a game that could end up being very wide open. I mean, you guys know, going all the way back, I love our offense. I love our offense when we open it up. So I'm easily going over there.
Yeah, and to bring Cody's thought process into it as far as averaging, I mean, you're averaging 2 passing touchdowns a game last year, and that's with Allen's ability to punch it in on the ground. So, yeah, I'm thinking about at least 2 touchdowns through the air with another one on the ground. Maybe someone like Moss or Singletary kind of steals that from them. But I think it's a safe bet to go with the over on that. Yeah. So yeah, there'll be no arguing amongst ourselves. We're either good or we're not here.
I think we should all put that parlay in.
Yeah, right.
We're all taking the over.
Find your nearest bookie. All right, segment number 2. We're gonna start talking about the inactives. There's gonna be 6 inactives of the night because if you choose to keep an extra offensive lineman, you are able to keep the 47 versus the 46. And As Cody mentioned in the script, the Bills typically activate 3 running backs. One of them is including Taiwan Jones. It doesn't really matter what you think of Taiwan Jones as far as a running back, not a running back. He still counts in that category. The only difference is the Bills drafted a running back early. We know Sean McDermott likes to make these guys earn it. Moss had a great preseason. Motor looks shifty as ever. Something's got to give, fellas. Either they're going to go with 4, or we're going to see someone who looked pretty dang good on the bench. Cody, I'm going to swing it over to you first. What are you thinking? Who? We'll start. I guess we'll go through the inactives, and that'll eventually get us to that running back question. Who are your inactives for the night?
Yeah, this was pretty tough actually. We've gotten to the point now where the 53-man roster is very good. It's not like years past where you can kind of pull guys off it and make this easy on yourself. I struggled a little bit, and we'll start with the running backs, like you said. Bills normally keep 3. I think the odd man out is going to be Zach Moss, and as you mentioned, he came into camp in great shape. He's probably looked like the running back the Bills thought they were going to get in the 3rd round. But again, as you said, you got to earn it. If you read the tea leaves, last year he was he was the one that was inactive when it came up. I don't think they take Cook in the 2nd round and make him inactive in a high-powered offense. I think he's bringing that diversity to the backfield that we didn't have. You parted ways with Duke Johnson. I know he's on the practice squad, but he won't be active for this game. So he's the one that brings that element. And Singletary showed what he could do the second half of the season. So if you're holding on to Taiwan Jones as we expect, he's on this roster for a reason. So I start there. Zach Moss is my running back that I think will not be on the field tomorrow. Nothing against him, but you got to cut somebody somewhere. Moving on, Balen Spector again. 6 linebackers. He's kind of just low man on the totem pole right now. So I put Spector on the bench, and then the 2 easiest ones would be Tommy Doyle and Quentin Morris, being that they're not exactly healthy right now. So that'll bring you to 4, and then you look at the offensive and defensive lines. Again, this comes down to the back end of the roster, how many guys you want to keep. For me, it was between Shaq Lawson and Boogie Basham. I think they know what they have in Lawson. That's a tough call. I put that they're going to be sitting Shaq Lawson, and I kind of fight myself over it. He's very good against the run, and we know the Rams like to do those stretch plays where they like to pull linebackers and the defensive ends out. So, he might be a good player that if things aren't going well in the second half that you want. So he's probably the one I flip-flop on. And then the last being Bobby Hart. And I just, again, with Van Roten, I just feel like you can kind of get away there.
Yes. Now, quick question. Jason brings up another good point. If you have 8 O linemen, don't you get 48? So that would mean, and it's true. I looked that up. For some reason, I thought it was 46, 47. So then that would be 2. So then you'd have to sit only 5, correct? As long as one of those guys are. So basically, if you keep Bobby Hart, you're good, or one of the other offensive linemen.
It would have to be an offensive lineman then.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
you chose
Right.
Hart sitting and
Tommy Doyle.
Tommy Doyle, but you said Tommy Doyle practiced.
He's the one
correct?
that's dealing with the foot injury. He is a full go. He was full go today. Did not practice the last 2 days. So I guess at that point it would come down to Tommy Doyle and Bobby Hart. Pick your poison there. Tommy Doyle can't really kick inside. Bobby Hart is listed as a guard. He's probably a little bit more position capable. I'm still sitting Tommy Doyle.
All right. What you got, Herm? Or
Oh,
inactive?
all right.
Oh, there he
Tommy
is.
Doyle is rather obvious. Well, to me, Quentin Morris, just because I don't think physically he's ready. We kept him, as I said. I didn't really like um, him being kept over OJ Howard, but uh, he's here. I think also Moss out of the running backs. Because Cook adds another dimension. I like even watching him in a couple of the preseason games and at Georgia. Um, he adds another dimension of catching the ball very efficiently out of the background, and he ran the ball well when he had his opportunities. Shaq Lawson, I think, will sit this one out. The cornerback, who is it? Lewis is still on the roster. Cam Lewis.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I don't think because I think that would leave us with 6 defensive backs. So I think he may be inactive. All right. We got Benford, Jackson, Elam are 2 safeties.
It's Saran
So
Neal.
exactly. So right, Saran Neal exactly playing. So I think and then Crowder. Where's
Mm.
Crowder coming? Because you're gonna keep uh, Shakir because he's returning. He's a punt return, and he had a pretty good preseason in my book, catching the ball. He was pretty efficient, and he's a returner. So I think how many did I get? Oh, Inspector. I like Spector. I mean, I liked him. I actually liked him a lot in the preseason. He reminds me of Matt Milano early on in Matt Milano's career. So he's going to be here, but I think he'll be inactive Sunday. So I think I had 6 there. Did I hit
Well,
6?
you only need 5.
Oh, because we're going to keep
Yeah,
another
the
offensive
offensive
line.
lineman.
Okay. All right.
All
So
right, so I'm pretty much on the same. I think I got the same as you, except for Crowder. I think my biggest, I don't know, the biggest conundrum for me was Crowder or Cook, and
Mm.
I was gonna go originally with Cook, but based on again, I feel like he might be a guy who we don't really know. They kept under wraps what his position is or what his role will be in the offense. They've been
Yeah.
very quiet about it. They haven't shown much. Whenever he's touched the ball, it's been very vanilla. What to be expected in preseason anyway. So who knows? Maybe this is a guy who can fill. If they go 4 wide, he can be that second slot guy, and then you
Yeah.
have that flexibility of getting him in the backfield.
right.
You don't have to have Isaiah McKenzie do that kind of stuff where he's focused on becoming more of a wide receiver, your typical wide receiver. So I'm going to go with Crowder, Bobby Hart, Shaq Lawson, Cam Lewis for the same reason why you brought up. We have Saran Neal is going to be that backup nickel, and then we have the boundary guys to back them up. You got your 2 safeties backing up, so I think we've rolled with 4 a lot of the time last year, so I don't see that changing. And then Balin Spector, he's a guy who I felt I didn't really think we'd lose him if we let him go to the practice squad, but he's a guy where you're always running that risk of him getting poached. If an injury comes up and if there's a team like a Jacksonville, somebody who's struggling and they're just trying to find that young talent to infuse to a roster, he's a guy that certainly you can lose. So he may be the 53rd man on the roster, and they're kind of just stashing him for. I like the comparison that you had for the Matt Milano. I see him more as a back or a a following in the footsteps of a Tyler Medikevich. Maybe he can be your ace and maybe give you a little bit more on the defensive side. So, like I said, Crowder, Hart, Lawson, Lewis, and Spector. It's definitely more difficult than in years past. And don't forget, Sean McDermott likes to add some head scratchers into the inactives. So I don't think you're wrong for saying Moss, but I do believe with guys having their roles carved out for them, he's somebody that they want to have in those short yardage situations. So,
Yeah.
um,
And he
anything
looked
left to add?
he looked good. I mean, he looked a lot better at this stage of development in the preseason and training camp than he did when we drafted him. And
Of course.
he ran and Motor does too. So I mean, I agree with you in that regard. Spector, I disagree. I think I liked him as a linebacker. So I think he might, if he had, that he might have been poached, because I do see something in him, but obviously I'm not an NFL scout. But he played well, and I think it was good to keep him, and our linebackers. Over the last couple of years, we've had injuries there. Even if it was for a game or two, or sometimes for at length. But it's going to be. Well, it's a good problem to have, right?
Oh, for sure, absolutely. I
It's a
mean,
good problem to have.
you mentioned the backup linebackers, and we were years past. If one guy goes down, you maybe have one guy who can back someone. AJ Klein.
That's right.
We got a
right.
Dotson and a Bernard, who they
Right.
listed him as a starting strong side linebacker, which really doesn't exist in this defense, but still, it goes for something. Cody, you got anything to add, or are you good?
Well, I just wanted to comment because I know both of you guys had Cam Lewis as out for this game, and just a quick question. I don't know if you guys remember, but I remember the last time we played the Rams and they came back, and Cooper Kupp went off. I think he had 10 catches, over 100 yards. I can't quite remember the numbers. I don't have them in front of me, but
Yeah,
was
he
that
had
not
over
was that
100
not
yards.
was that not against Taron Johnson? Is that the game where Taron Johnson almost lost his role?
It was.
That lines up because I believe Cam Lewis started against the Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm just curious, not having him not having him available for this game, if something similar were to happen with Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, if that's the
He's just
game.
a player I would like to have.
Yeah, we had the big lead, and they came back, and we ultimately won it at the end of the game. But like you said, they stormed back and scored on every drive, I think.
Yeah,
from
Yeah,
the
I
third
think
quarter.
Woods and Cup ate our lunch.
Right.
With those crossers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we got away with a little bit of a bullshit call against them
whatever.
that went for us, and which is fine.
That kept that
Doesn't
drive
happen.
going, right, for us to win the game, right?
All right, let's move right along to our next segment. We'll get into the X's and O's. We'll break down a lot of the matchup based arguments and whatnot. Obviously, we really don't have much to go off of outside of last year's performance, but these are two teams that are ranked top 7 in yards per game last year, top 6 in points per game. The Bills obviously were first on defense for yards allowed and scoring, and the Rams not too bad either. They were both 13 and 9th respectively for that. Both teams were on the plus side of the turnover differential, so we have an evenly matched team. I do believe that the Bills had made more significant additions as opposed to their subtractions, where the Rams, there's a lot of moving parts. That offensive line is not what it was. Clearly, they don't have OBJ. They don't have Von Miller. They did get Bobby Wagner. They did get Allen Robinson. But, I mean, at the most, I think you can say it's a push. But I believe the Rams got slightly worse, and the Bills got there's not much room up there, but the additions that they have, I think we'll see in this game. Herm, anything that sticks out to you as far as matchups or just the overall X's and O's for both these teams?
Well, when you're talking about that cornerback, Troy Hill, that they got from the Browns, I feel he can be exploited. He's only started 4 games with Cleveland last year.
And he's slow.
7 interceptions in 7 years. You've been in the league 7 years. You got 7 interceptions. And you got Jalen Ramsey, talk about him, and then Bobby Wagner is the addition, and Allen Robinson on offense. But I don't see, and I think he's listed as the other starting cornerback. So yeah, his matchup, he's either going to be getting Diggs, Davis, or if we move up, So I feel receiving wise, we have that can be exploited in my opinion, because that one there, I would have thought they would come. They could have come up with in the open market, but I don't know who else was out there in terms of a cornerback. But I agree with you. Other than, Floyd is still there. He had 9.5 sacks. We know Aaron Donald. We know that he had 12.5 sacks. So right there, that front four is still formidable. But Von Miller made a huge difference on that on the edge, and along with because the other guy, I think Ashawn Robinson, the kid from Alabama, he really was insignificant in terms of sacks and you were playing with some all pros, some serious talent on that defensive line. So I agree with you that I feel we are better. But of course I'm biased big time. And but I feel that of everything, I took a look at everything. The cornerback Troy Hill, I feel we can exploit. That'll be an interesting that's going to be an interesting matchup, whoever he's covering.
So let's start there. Cody, I'll swing it over to you, but the writing's on the wall. Is Gabe Davis going to pick up right where he left off, especially with this matchup?
Yeah.
I really can't see, Jalen can't cover both guys. So what do you see far as secondary wise versus the Bills wide receivers?
Yeah, I agree. No, I got you. Yeah, I agree with Herm here. Outside of Jalen Ramsey, these guys, they do have an all-pro at all three levels there with Aaron Donald, with Jalen Ramsey, and with the middle linebacker that they brought in from Seattle, Bobby Wagner. So, they have talent at all three levels. I think we match up pretty good here. They like to run a 3-4. They will stack their defensive linemen. They try to get Aaron Donald in space and get a free runner on their guards, which I think if you play it right, you can kind of work it to your advantage. This is where I think that having a player like Cook is going to come in handy here. I think if you can get them to come after the quarterback and kind of just drop these passes over the middle, dink and dunk, some hot routes, some stuff like that, you can kind of, use their strong points against them. As far as the secondary is concerned, outside of Jalen Ramsey, the safeties are pretty decent. Nick Scott, Taylor Rapp. There's some depth there, but outside of Jalen Ramsey, if you didn't tell me that they had this corner coming over from Cleveland, I probably wouldn't have known. Nothing against him. There's just nothing that really jumps off the board at you. And, again, this is, we look into Buffalo. We know the players. We can look at a Nick McLeod or a Cam Lewis and hype them up. So I'm sure that they're excited about some of these players. But just knowing that what we have on offense and at number 2 receiver and number 3 and going down to Crowder and McKenzie, I think there's a lot of open space that we can kind of, exploit in this matchup. And if we pull them outside, I think it's going to help us inside with Singletary. And, if Moss plays, that's his zone. I don't think he will. But, I think that they'll try to take Diggs away. But outside of that, I think it's going to leave some room for us to exploit some other areas.
Yeah, when you have, like you said, all pros at all three levels, you're paying them big money. None of them are on rookie contracts. 2 out of the 3 have been brought over in free agency, and we know how this Rams front office works. They like to throw a lot of money at guys, these short-term contracts, and roll the dice year in, year out. They don't really seem to care too much about their first-round draft pick. I think this was the first one they had in the McVay era, which is interesting because it's a stark difference to our Bills philosophy, where I think, obviously we're getting the free agents to bring us over the top, but the bread and butter is those draft picks. But that being said, when you have that many stars, you're going to have a lot of guys, and that's what I see on this defense. Now, we'll be honest, we are not Rams fan. We don't dig through the film.
Right.
But that being said, you can't really have both. You can't have it both ways. So I'm right in line. There's definitely people to be exploited as long as Josh Allen has the time to throw. Aaron Donald's got to be your modus operandum, like stopping him. Obviously, is going to be key. We saw what he did in the last game they played. I think he had 2 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, 2 sacks, a fumble recovery, and I think that was all in one play, and a handful of quarterback hits. So he's not a guy. He is the guy. So
Yeah.
I think that all being said, there's definitely room for a high-powered offense such as the Bills to make some hay. Let's move on to our defense versus their offense. I think the biggest notable thing on their side of the ball is they had to replace right guard Austin Corbett with a guy, Coleman Shelton, who has just had a pair of spot starts last season, and he's a 3-year vet, so not much experience there. And obviously, probably first ballot Hall of Famer Andrew Whitworth is being replaced by Joe Notenboom, who's a former 3rd-round pick, and he only has 17 career starts. So two unproven guys, not to write them off completely, but they certainly aren't to the level of the 2 gentlemen that I mentioned earlier. Herm, we'll go with you. What do you see on this Rams offense matching up against the Bills defense?
Well, the biggest key is if we can pressure Stafford, because I don't believe they can run the ball on us. Our line, is in the middle in particular with the pickup we put next to Oliver. I think Von Miller's, watching training camp and, on a daily basis, reading him, tutoring Russo, Espinosa, and Jerry Hughes, as you like to say, Trav, he was always around when he never got there. So
we got a finisher now.
Yeah, no, we got a finisher, but I believe also, I believe that the young guys now can also, they're a year older, a year stronger. You've got great tutelage now. And you got also someone that they got to focus on that other side of the line, depending on, when they're moving Von Miller around. But I believe if we put pressure on Matthew Stafford, I remember even with the Lions when he had Megatron, he throws interceptions, and he's not the most mobile quarterback. So if we can keep some pressure on them, because the game we talked about in 2020, who Goff was the quarterback when they came back, and we allowed him to. It was a different team for both squads. As Cody said, with our cornerback.
And it was a down year for the Bills defense for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And we took a huge lead and allowed them to come back once they began airing the ball out. But the Stafford's a different quarterback. Obviously, you came in, you won the Super Bowl, but I still believe he can be had, and he's prone to throwing interceptions. But I truly believe that with our front seven, that we can put pressure on him and we can get to him. So because he's Cooper Kupp, we know he wants to throw. He's going to look for him. You got Allen Robinson, we talked about earlier. You got a big receiver, and I think that's the key. Is we got to put some pressure and get to him, hit him a few times, and I think our defense has improved. Obviously, Trey not being there to Davis White for at the minimum the first 4 games, but Dane Jackson, it's your time to step up now. You've we drafted him out of Pitt. He had Elam, what his nickname with Florida they were saying was Grabby, and I remember in that I think the last preseason or the second preseason game when he's on the other side of the field, and that's what came to my mind. But he's a gifted athlete and a good cornerback, so I got faith in him. And you're going to get your opportunity to come here. You're going to be on the big stage tomorrow night. So you're going to get an opportunity to show, but we need some pressure from that, that front 4 or 7 and you got Poyer, you still have safeties that are out there looking out for the young guys too. So that gives me a whole lot of confidence. And Neil's been there. So I'm pretty confident.
You always are, Herm. That's why we like you. That's
right.
Like you.
No question about
it. Cody, quick thing. A lot has been made of Stafford's elbow. Do you think it's going to play a role this early in the season? I mean, to me personally, I think you might see a little bit of it in the at the end of the season, but it's still too early for that. You think?
Yeah, it's too early for that. That'll be something they monitor going forward, but this is week 1. There's no restraints for him. That's not something that's going to. Yeah, that's not something I expect to play into this game at all. Listen, he's a hell of a quarterback. We know how tough he is. He's one of the toughest guys probably in the NFL. So, yeah, I'm not worried about his elbow. As far as their offense versus our defense is concerned, they got players. They just won the Super Bowl, in case we didn't know. So this is a fantastic team. My biggest concern is the young cornerbacks. If they can hold their own. Now we play a cover 2 mostly, and we have 2 all-pro safeties that can kind of cover up some blemishes. The Bills will disguise some stuff, and I think they'll give these guys some protection. The Rams not having Van Jefferson is it might be a bigger blessing than we think it is, because it just allows us not to be stretched so thin. We're going to be missing Trey White. We were missing Trey White in the playoffs last year. It didn't hurt us until we got to a team that could throw the ball in the Chiefs. If he's there, there's a chance that we win that football game, but not going down that rabbit hole. What the Bills did in the offseason to their defensive line is I expect it to pay off greatly.
That's right.
Bringing back Jordan Phillips, he just seems like a different player when he's here. I think this is where he wants to be. There's new motivation for him. Ed Oliver, I think he takes a gigantic step forward this year. Really looking forward to him. He's probably the player I'm looking forward to the most. And then other guys, Daquan Jones, Tim Settle. These are guys that are upgrades over players that we love. A player like Harrison Phillips, love the player. These guys are they're a class above, and I expect that to really show up on the field come tomorrow night. And then you touched on it already. Not having Whitworth, that's huge. He is a borderline Hall of Famer. I don't know if I agree with you that he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I'll give him,
a little the idea.
Yeah. And then again, losing a guard. So, now's the time to really take advantage. And if Stafford's elbow isn't 100% and you get some licks on him, then maybe it does, rear its ugly head a little bit in the end of the fourth quarter when the game's coming down to the wire. But, for these new guys that are coming in, let's see that worth.
One thing I wanted to say before we move on about the defensive line, the Bills have shaken it up a lot. I mean, it seems like the last 3 seasons, and I like to use the Yahtzee analogy. It's like they put five dice in there, they rolled it, they picked up 3 of the 4, put them back into the cup, rolled it again, and I think this third time we either got a full house or we got a Yahtzee, because I truly, this was the first time, and I know it's preseason, but when you saw Daquan Jones and Tim Settle out there was no room whatsoever. I mean, these are guys, these are people movers, and they're the type of defensive linemen who can be blocked and still make plays. And what I mean is they're that big that they can shed these guys to one side and still wrap a guy up at the same time. And just like you mentioned, this is Ed Oliver's. I think this is the year. I mean, cliche as it is, what Von Miller did for Aaron Donald, although he didn't have much more to accomplish, he raised his game. As a leader, and to really just kind of to put it all together. And I'm really hoping that his presence will be able to do the same thing for Ed Oliver, because I really think he's going to be the guy who's going to receive a lot of attention from the press, because we've seen him play well, and the first couple of years it didn't show up on the stat sheet, but we saw it. And I really do think that now this is the year where there's going to be a lot of those Jordan Phillip-esque sacks where, it's just him and another guy, and all he's got to do is beat him. And I look forward to seeing it.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to our last segment before we get to the tweet of the week. We'll do it a quick one. Herm, Cody, you already alluded a little bit, but we'll start with Herm. Your biggest concern going into this game?
Just controlling Aaron Donald. I mean, he can dominate that middle of the line, and putting pressure, making Josh. He can make Josh move. Immediately if Mitch Morse and that interior line, the guards right there, if they're not able to just, I'll say it is impossible to block him totally for a whole game. But if you can just hold your own and allow Josh to get, because what do you need? 2.5 seconds. And then, he's creative if necessary. But if he has an opportunity to just take a look around quickly, or as Cody said earlier, you're running around Cook, which happened I liked in the Denver game when they played Cook. Cook caught a couple balls like right in front of the linebackers and behind the line. He turned them into 10 yards, 12 yards, 8 yards, and we moved the ball that way. And or little flare passes coming out of the backfield, because that was one of the reasons that we drafted him, is because of his ability not only as a runner to catch the ball. Singletary and Moss did it last year, but they dropped balls as well. But this is what this kid. That's what we brought. I think that's why we brought this kid here to do, is add another element, or as you said, you can spread him out and put him in the slot to catch balls. So that's my biggest concern is, Aaron Donald dominating the line. And if he dominates the interior of the line, it stops our running game, and it allows the linebackers to play a huge role right there at the point of attack at the line of scrimmage. So that's my biggest concern.
Cody, what do you got for your biggest concern?
Yeah, I alluded to it before. I think our secondary, just because it's something new, these new guys are going to get their first run out, and you just don't really know what to expect. Big game, a lot of pressure. The Rams will be hanging their Super Bowl banner. So, one game would go a long way in probably easing a lot of our anxieties about, these young cats. But, until we know, that's my biggest concern.
Right.
I agree with both of you. I think Aaron Donald, Herm, to your point, he is the single most effective player on their team. However, I do believe we have a little bit more to counter it. We do have Roger Saffold. We do have Mitch Morse, who first-time team captain. Not that means much when it comes to blocking a bulldozer, but we definitely upgraded at the offensive guard position. I think Ryan Bates is clearly the better of the guards that we had last year. So I do think we have a little bit more. And we have Josh Allen. Getting him out of the pocket is not necessarily a bad thing. Remember that. So I think that may play into his hand just a little bit more than a normal quarterback who just has to sit there in the pocket. But I think I'm going to lean towards the cornerbacks, because you got three guys out there three guys as in Kyer, Benford, and Dane Jackson, who two of them are going to be out there every snap, and it's first game of the year, Thursday night to open up the season against the Super Bowl champs on the road. If there were a game to really get the jitters and have it go against you, I truly believe that this is the one, outside of playoffs and what have you. But I've had this feeling before. especially when Trey White went down the first time or went down last year.
Right.
And they held up well. I think the scheme, I guess I'm contradicting myself because the Bills also have the scheme to facilitate young players. You know, they have the best safety tandem in the league. They have a, albeit expanding, play sheet where, they used to just be pretty much a zone team. They're going to be playing a little bit more man, it seems. They've played more man each and every year that McDermott's been around, and that will play into their strength. So it's, I will lean toward the cornerbacks, but I'm good at talking myself out of it, but I'm going to go with the cornerbacks. Herm, biggest advantage the Bills have going into tomorrow's game?
Our biggest advantage, I think, is our potential run game, because I believe we can run the ball. We ran the ball fairly effectively going down the stretch last season, and the additions to the offensive line, as you said, Saffold, Morris, Bates is playing. I think it's the group. Once they solidify and they seem, and I think it's going to be probably, to me, the best offensive line as a combination, because Spencer Brown, as you said, is listed to start, but Quisenberry played well, and he's the backup over there, I think, on that right tackle. But I believe we can run the ball, which also makes Josh that much more effective in the play action game or the RPOs. So I think we have an advantage there. I believe we'll run the ball better than the Rams will.
How about you, Cody?
Yeah, I think our biggest advantage is at the quarterback position. I think Josh Allen is just, I think ESPN called him, the deadliest weapon in the NFL. We alluded to Aaron Donald. He's, if we're talking about first ballot Hall of Famers, he will be one. But having a mobile quarterback and a guy that can get away from pressure like Josh Allen can be the difference maker in helping to neutralize a player like that. So I think he's the X factor in this game. And right, because he's the X factor, I would say he's the biggest advantage.
I like it. I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction. I'm going to go with the offense, the receiving targets. So that includes your tight end, your Davis, your Diggs, McKenzie. Those four guys, I think, outside of Jalen Ramsey, we win 3 of the 4 matchups all night. I think Gabe Davis specifically is primed to really be that 1B. We're no longer talking about him as a potential, can he be the 2? I mean, I sat in this chair and spoke with other guys last year, wondering if he could be the number 2. And now, obviously, they drafted Khalil Shakir, but I think by not bringing in a vet to push him, which is what they did his first 2 years, I really believe that is a testament to show that the Bills believe he's ready. His work ethic, just all the things he's done in the offseason, his attention to detail, being able to play every position from day one. That was always something that was talked about him, and him coming into his 3rd year. You pair that with Stephon Diggs, who, enough said right there. You just say his name and you know what he's about. And then the emergence of Isaiah McKenzie being that solidified slot receiver. We already talked about Dawson Knox against a bunch of guys, and one named Bobby Wagner, who's, he's getting up there in age. I just believe our offensive weapons in the receiving game is going to be the difference. And just like Cody said, if you have that guy, if you have the lethal weapon that Josh Allen is in, and just like what Herm said, if you're able to run the ball, well, shoot, the bread and butter has to be open at that point. So that would be my advantage. Let's segue over to the tweet of the week. Cody, this is gonna dovetail nicely to our last one. It's only one. I just wanted to bring it up. There's no There is no competition here. Herm, I'm just scouring the Twitter world for some interesting tweets. And last week, it was this whole thing about, do you say go Bills or do you not? And if somebody doesn't say it, what are the repercussions for that? And it's made its round on Twitter, and I've enjoyed it. So this one, we'll put a cap to it. Chris says, the ones who want a dome are the ones who will get mad at you if you don't say go Bills back. Cody, you're a big proponent of the go Bills. What say you on Chris's take?
Oh, I don't know if I agree with Chris there. I get upset when people say don't say go Bills back, but I am not a proponent for a dome. So
You're a
I
tendency
have to-
breaker.
yeah, I have to disagree with Chris. Sorry, Chris.
That's all right. I'm sure it'll be okay. Herm,
Bill
let's
Liff.
get your opinion.
I'm with
Where do
Cody
you stand
there.
with the go Bill? But are you mad at the person? Are you?
If
'cause
they
I
don't
brought
say
up-
if they don't say go Bills,
if you're walking down if I'm walking, 5 years ago, I don't know you from a hole in the wall,
right.
and you got your Bills hat on, and I walk up to you, and you got a full cart of groceries, and you're looking through the yogurt section, and I yell "Go Bills" in passing, and it takes you by surprise, or vice versa in the other situation. Are you getting mad? Are you chalking it up as a fan party foul?
No, I'm chalking up as a fraudulent Bills fan. Because you say if you go Bills, that's like if two people were in the elevator and you say good morning and they don't respond, that would be rude. But the Bills and me being Herm the Buffalonian on top of that, the shopping cart thing, it happened to you and I, right?
Yep.
And without saying this, there was a guy in Tops one day, had to be about 80 years old, and had on a Bills cap that looked like it was bought in 1967 or something. And I said, "Go Bills" to him, and he turned around and responded, "Go Bills."
There you go.
So,
Okay. Well,
and he had
settled.
his back turned to me. Yeah. So I'm with Cody.
He knew
there.
the rules. He knew the rules. Let's just
That's
let's put a bow on this right now. If somebody says "Go Bills" to you, you must respond with "Go Bills." That's it.
If you're a true blue fan, that's right.
Yeah.
That's the greeting.
Those are the rules, and they're etched somewhere on the rock pile.
And it has nothing to do with the Dome Stadium, because I know some people that being from Buffalo, I know some people that wanted the Dome just because of the weather.
They're snowbirds.
Exactly. But they would definitely say go Bills. Yeah.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Go Bills is the way, and it's the only way. And you are to be judged if you forget it. Doesn't matter if you had one too many. Like I was trying to carve a little niche for those who have not said it.
And that's not to be offensive to the individuals that may forget, because if you're rolling with us, go Bills.
Right. All right. That's about it. Let's get a hot take going. We'll give our score predictions, and then we'll give a last word. Cody, give us a hot take for tomorrow's game.
Ooh, hot take. I didn't prepare a hot take.
You want me to circle around? We'll circle back.
Yeah, circle back around, but you'll probably influence me.
That's all right.
My hot take, which I didn't do either.
Oh, well, you're good at it. Come on, guys.
My hot take is that this is our time, and of course ours is the Bills fans and the Bills Mafia, Bills Nation, on all my fellow Buffalonians and the Bills fans all over. I mean, I've been all over, and you guys know that Herm the Buffalonian has on his Bills gear. Someone asked me, in fact, the other day, you're wearing your Bills gear. I said, dude, I wear this 24/7, 365.
Yeah, you do.
That's right. And but having even met you guys, who I've told a lot of people about from Carmel High grads, state champions, by the way, last year in football. So I give you your props. No, my hot take is that I know in the first segment you guys did in the preseason, and I wasn't there. I wasn't here for the segment about the 13 seconds. That's done. We've learned for it. One thing I loved about McDermott, nobody was thrown under the bus. The coach is gone, the special teams.
I was just gonna say.
Well, but there was no it wasn't verbalized,
Public, yeah.
and it wasn't publicly made. Whatever, it was kept in house, which I respect. I mean, and we can all speculate what happened, what didn't happen, what should have happened, but it's done, and we're on to we're here. Tomorrow night begins the next chapter, and I think this is it. You know, I've been watching and a fan of them a lot longer than you guys. Maybe, and I know I'm twice your age, Trav.
Yeah,
Cody, I don't know.
You've been watching the Bills longer than I've been alive.
That's exactly right.
Much longer than I've been.
And there's a whole lot of people I know that have been watching longer than me since inception in 1960. So it's our time, and we're going to take advantage of this. The team we're built for this. So, go Bills.
So Herm, just for everyone to know, his hot take is the Bills are good. He's old. I'm young. And it's the year. This is the year.
This is it.
Yeah, I was literally just thinking, what the hell is this guy's hot take?
Okay.
He's going on
It's
this
all right.
freaking rant.
He's pining right now.
That's right.
I'll give you mine. Gabe Davis picks up where he left off, 100+ yards, 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
I got
Cody?
mine. Greg Rousseau, 2+ sacks.
There we go. I like that one.
Yeah.
He's definitely somebody who is flying under the radar, and with all that attention,
that's
what
it.
it's
We
looking
didn't
right?
mention him once tonight.
We did
with
not.
all the new players that are on the D line.
He's got those
And-
pearly whites all lined up now, no
Oh,
braces,
yeah.
looking like a big boy.
Oh yeah, he is a big boy. That's for sure. Yeah, I think with Miller coming over from LA, they know him well. They are going to either chip him or they're going to be accounting for him on all plays. And I think, with the stoutness that we have on the inside now, it's going to give opportunities to Greg Rousseau, and it's his time to shine. I think he makes a big jump this year, and I have him, 2 sacks, at least 2 sacks.
While you're up there on the screen, give me a score prediction.
Bills 35, Rams 32.
Ah.
Herm?
35-24, Buffalo.
Oh, he broke up there. Did he say the Bills? I don't know, guys. Did you say the Bills, Herm?
I said Buffalo.
All right. No, I just
Who are the Bills?
you broke up, but I wasn't
Oh,
sure.
no, I said
I know
35.
you like to pick the other team a lot.
Oh, yeah, really, right? 35-24, Buffalo.
All right. I'm going 34-27 Bills. Yeah, let's start the season the right way. I'm going to give my last words, and then, fellas, you guys can jump in after me. I just want to let everybody know that even if the Bills don't win, it's not the end of the year. It's not the end of the season. It's okay. It's an NFC opponent. It's defending champs, and week 1 is way less important than week 17. So we're going to win, but just in case, don't jump ship. Don't jump ship. You know how terrible that Pittsburgh game was?
We can't have qualifiers here on the first.
Yeah,
week.
well,
Come on.
listen. A lot of weird stuff happens week 1.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
I remember vividly Tom Brady getting a goose egg hung on him, 31, and Sam Adams rumbling down the sidelines, and I thought the Bills were going all the way. Cody, what do you got for? Give us your last words.
Well, I just want to tell everyone that it's not okay if we lose tomorrow. No.
That's what I'm talking about.
Herm
No, I don't know if anybody saw the letter from Von Miller where he goes over, between the drought and the 13 seconds and Music City Miracle and all that stuff and says, burn it, burn it all. Just burn it all.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it's a new season. I know we're Super Bowl favorites. We should be. Let's not hide from it. The pressure is a privilege. And let's start the season off right by beating the Super Bowl champs in LA when they hang their banner. Let's go, Buffalo.
Herm, grace us with your good words.
My good words are I'm with Cody. I don't the true blue Buffalo fans, if we did lose, and there's been hundreds of us for decades, we don't worry about that because you're going to be here. Good, bad. We've been through the good, the bad, and the ugly. But tomorrow night is the opening of a new chapter, as every season is. And Travis, you referred to last year, game 1, Pittsburgh, horrible, ugly game and an ugly loss. So that was the beginning, and the end was the 13 seconds. But that's as Cody just said. What I saw Devon Miller burn it, throw it away, and let's move on and let's pick up this W tomorrow night, and let's get this party rolling, which is going to end up in the Super Bowl this year in Arizona. That's where the Super Bowl is this year, right in Glendale. So that's when we do that last Friday night forecast. We're going to be talking about the Super Bowl. How's that for a close on the opening night?
You know, I all I can say is thank you, gentlemen, for joining us or joining me for another great episode. It's good to have you back, Herm, and thank everyone out there for.
That's great to be back.
For watching. Yeah, go Bills.
Go Bills.
We'll see you next week.
Go Buffalo.
All right.
You got me feeling like I'm Josh Allen, yeah. What? You got me feeling like I'm Josh. Okay. You got me feeling like I'm Josh Allen, yeah. Josh.
Got me feeling like I'm
Who? Josh. Yeah.
Josh Allen.